What's going on, folks? I'm Andy. Thanks for coming back to the Electric Geek channel. This week I'm getting back on the request review trail, and to kick it off I've got Christopher Nolan's 2020 mind-bending sci-fi spy thriller Tenet on 4K Blu-ray. Get it out and get one, because it's one of the best discs out there. During the video I'll briefly speak about my thoughts on the movie itself. I have seen it 4 times now, twice in the cinema and twice on the Blu-ray. And then I'll move on to the video and audio quality and whether or not I think it's worth your time picking up this 4K disc. If you've came here hoping for a full explanation and breakdown of the plot of Tenet, I'll just tell you right now that you've came to the wrong channel. However, fret not, if you get to the end of it and you want to know that, then I'll put a link in the description for a YouTube video that I think does a really good job of describing it, so you can hang on to the end for that. Before we move on to the unboxing, just a quick shout out to Ian Skiak, who hit up the comments a few weeks back on one of the other videos requesting Tenet. Ian, I know you've asked for a full breakdown of the plot, but that's just not happening, pal, alright? But I'll do the best I can with my thoughts on the movie and how good it looks for the video and audio. Alright, pal, I hope you enjoy. In the spirit of Tenet, I'm going to do the unbox reversed. So it's a 3-disc Steelbook edition, it's a HMV exclusive. You have the 4K disc, standard Blu-ray and a dedicated special features disc. The 4K and the Blu-ray are bare bones discs, and all the special features are on the 3rd disc. I don't believe there's any audio commentaries, director commentaries on the discs, but the special features disc has a really good feature-length documentary on everything with regards how the film was made, etc, etc, and it clocks in about 75 minutes long, and it's really good and detailed. I watched it at the time when I got the film and I thoroughly enjoyed it, so it's definitely worth checking out. So the artwork, inside you have a still from the highway chase in the film, which is pretty cool. On the front it's the scene from the movie, the reverse bungee jump, which is obviously pretty thematic with the whole movie and pretty cool. You can see it in the light, but the title, Tenet, has a slight metallic sheen to it, so that's pretty cool. Neat spine, nothing unusual there. And on the back you've got another cool shot of John David Washington as the protagonist, inverted, hence the face mask. So yeah, pretty cool design. I quite like the Steelbook. It's definitely one I'm chuffed to have. Done away with the slip card, but tech specs wise, it's a 4K digital intermediate. It has alternating aspect ratios. It takes up the full screen basically for the IMAX sequences, and you'll get the typical black letterbox bars for anything not filmed in IMAX. Audio wise, it's the DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 track on both the 4K and the standard Blu-ray. And as far as HDR goes for the 4K transfer, it is encoded in HDR10 standard fare. Do you like my new mug? There's a wee story about this mug and a thank you that I've got to shout out at the end of the video, so if you're interested in knowing the story, stick around till the end. So Tenet was released back in the summer of 2020 amid the COVID pandemic, and a lot of theatres simply weren't open at the time. It was hailed unfairly, I think, as the film that was supposed to save cinema. It had a $205 million budget. It was the biggest budget I believe Christopher Nolan's had to play with through all the epics he's made over the last 10-15 years, and it returned I think 350 million. It made a profit, but not anywhere near what it was expected to make. I think they projected it would probably make around about the 500-600 million mark, and although it was a success, it didn't really save cinema, shall we say, but I think that was kind of unfair to put it in that position in the first place. And as a result, the likes of No Time to Die, Black Widow, Top Gun Maverick, all these massive blockbusters I think took note of what happened at the box office for Tenet, and is the reason why they all got pushed to later in 2021 it would turn out. I thoroughly enjoyed Tenet. I didn't enjoy it as much as previous Nolan films like the Dark Knight trilogy. My favourite is Inception, and the reason for that is I think because it is mainly concept over heart, if you like. It's high concept, it's quite difficult to understand, this has been well documented, but I think for me it just doesn't carry the same emotion as his previous films. I didn't care so much about the characters. I mean, the fact that John David Washington's character's called the protagonist for a start, you know, there's that distance from the characters. It's more about the concept, how visually striking it is. And for me, it didn't resonate the same. I enjoyed it, but it just didn't. I didn't get gripped the same because it didn't have that it wasn't as character driven as his previous ones. However, that said, having watched it more, the more you watch it and the more you understand the concept, and the more you understand the concept, the more you appreciate how Christopher Nolan crafted it and how all the crew could get their heads around it to film it, and the effort that went into filming all those inverted scenes and all the practical effects. It's just a kind of self-perpetuating thing. The more you see it, the more you understand, the more you appreciate it. So it's definitely one that's worth a viewing, and is a good value disc to buy, because it is one you want to keep watching and you will enjoy it more as you watch it. But to summarise, yeah, I think Tenet is a really good film. Is it my favourite Christopher Nolan film? No, certainly not when I first watched it. However, it has grown on me big time the more I watch it, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching it again. I seem to enjoy it more and more every time. So moving on to the 4K Blu-ray itself, I'm just going to get this out of the way and say this is an absolute stonker of a 4K Blu-ray. It's probably, for me, the best 4K release of 2020, and there's probably not many that would disagree with me there. It would certainly be I'd be surprised if it was not in the top 3 at least. It looks absolutely fantastic, especially the IMAX scenes that were shot in 70mm. The aspect ratio changes and it takes up your whole screen whenever there's a sequence shot in 70mm, and those are just like breathtaking. The detail that obviously IMAX can capture is really displayed best on the 4K disc with the HDR for the more lifelike colour. It's just breathtaking. It's absolutely awesome. It's total demo worthy. The Blu-ray, don't get me wrong, is stunning as well, because it's obviously a new Blu-ray technology has improved, and the way they transfer them, and the fact that it's a new film. Blu-ray looks great. Sometimes I can even really tell the difference. Certainly with the scenes that were shot on film, not the IMAX ones. However, when it goes to the IMAX, you don't get the full benefit unless you're watching it on the 4K, because, as I say, it can render that detail better. The Blu-ray just can't quite keep up. Still looks great. You can see a change in the visual quality on the Blu-ray, but it's just not as impactful as on the 4K. So visually, the 4K HDR disc is definitely better. We'll get this out of the way though. It is the loudest track I think I own on 4K Blu-ray. It is absolutely bring the house down loud. It's actually ridiculous. You feel like you can feel the bass hit you, like it's doing something to you, and you feel like the walls are reverberating whenever the soundtrack kicks in. It's so heavy on the low frequency stuff. The bass is absolutely pounding. It has kind of like Bond tones to it. There's a little bit of guitar stuff in there, which kind of reminds me of the Bond theme, and I think that's probably been done deliberately. But for the most part, it's kind of techno, heavy bass, which just really makes you sit up and pay attention to it. It makes the film feel super, super epic. The track is DTS HD 5.1, which is a little bit disappointing, just because it's a brand new transfer. It's an epic film, and so you would expect there to be a little bit of object-based audio there, be it DTS:X or Dolby Atmos, but for some reason they've went with DTS HD 5.1. But like I say, don't get me wrong, it's still one of the loudest, most immersive tracks out there. The only gripe with it is that a lot of the time the dialogue is inaudible. It's so loud. I don't know what they've done with the dialogue. I heard rumours that apparently due to the pandemic, the guy that mixed it had to use headphones. He was obviously working from home, and I don't know if he's somehow managed to botch it up, and he's not got the levels right for the dialogue, because it is really difficult to hear. It's so loud that you have to put it down a little bit from what you'd normally listen to it at, and then obviously when you do that, you can't hear the dialogue through your centre speaker. How I got around it was I just pumped up the centre speaker a few decibels, and that kind of helped me in that front. But yeah, in summary, it's an absolute assault on the senses, the soundtrack, despite it being difficult to make out the dialogue. But when it comes to the action sequences in tandem with the IMAX scenes on the 4K HDR, it really is like demo throughout, and it does make you sit up and pay attention, like I said earlier. So my verdict for Tenet on 4K Blu-ray, I would say, with everything considered that I talked about, it's an absolute demo-worthy disc, and therefore I have to give it 5 out of 5. It's just, you have to have it in your collection, whether you like the film or not. Purely from the visual and audio, you should have it there as a demo disc for when you have your friends over, especially if you've spent a bit of money on your TV, your home cinema setup, your sound system. It's one you absolutely have to have in there. I did consider it, giving it 4.5 out of 5 just because of the dialogue issue, but it's not a big enough issue for me. It's so impactful that I felt it still deserved 5 out of 5, but just keep that in mind with regards to the dialogue. It can be quite difficult to hear, and take the advice I mentioned earlier about potentially bumping up your centre channel, and if you do that, it will be a 5 out of 5, I promise. So that's it for this week's 4K Blu-ray review of Tenet. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, remember to hit that like button, and please consider subscribing if you want to see more of my 4K Blu-ray reviews, tech reviews and PS5 content. Next week I'm going to be reviewing my very precious 4K Steelbooks of the Daniel Craig James Bond films, and I'm doing that because I'm super psyched about No Time to Die, and I want to get a video out there for you to get you guys psyched as well. I'm going to have a look at the Daniel Craig films. I'm going to go over the video and audio quality of them. I'm going to rank which one I think is best, discuss my thoughts on all 4 films, and then I'll do a little bit in the end with regards to what I'm hoping for No Time to Die and how I think that's going to pan out. So that's definitely one that's not for missing if you're a James Bond fan. I've kind of been inspired by Tenet this week because it kind of felt like a James Bond film when I was watching it, so that's the inception of next week's video. Just before I sign off, like I said, my new mug, right? I had this sent out to me by, as it says on the mug, I don't know if you can see there, superfan Big Marty, who reached out and got in touch and let me know that he was really enjoying the channel and that he wanted to send me a wee gift to inspire me. So he sent it out, and this is what I got. I had no idea what it was going to be, and I was truly humbled, Marty, that you sent that out. It really is encouraging. It does, as much as I love doing these videos, it does take me a while, and I'm still learning, so it takes me a while to edit them, and it's just nice to get something from someone, from one of you guys, showing your appreciation and that you're enjoying the channel. So truly I'm humbled, I'm really chuffed, and I do drink out it when I'm editing my videos, so thanks very much for that. Just while I'm speaking about viewers and subscribers, I have had a bit of an uptake in subscribers recently, and I'd just like to say a thanks to each and every one of you. It means a lot to me. I'm really hoping to grow the channel, as I've said before. I want to get a wee community around it, I want to get everyone involved, I want people to participate in the channel, live streams perhaps, further down the line, the requested view stuff. As I say, thanks very much. I hope you're still enjoying it, and thanks for watching this video. If you're new to the channel and you've just watched this and you've enjoyed it, I appreciate I've only got a few videos out there and you're maybe thinking, don't know if I'm going to subscribe just yet. If not, then why not at least follow me on Instagram. I put stuff on there that I don't put on here, and I will leave the occasional link post with regards to my latest videos. So that's a good way to catch up, and you can dip in and out at your leisure without necessarily subscribing. So please give that a wee thought. That's it for today. I've been your Electric Geek Andy. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week for the James Bond video.